Backstage, Rock on the Range, 1027 WEBN. We look forward to more festivals as it's going to wrap up today. And there's another great one in between now and Louder Than Life. This one's called Bourbon and Beyond Festival, September 23rd through the 24th. Bourbon, food, music. I'm joined right now by Fred Minnick. Fred, welcome to the show. I see you are putting some tasty bourbons on my table.
Yes, well, that's what I do. I'm with Bourbon and Beyond, so like I'm curating a bourbon bar with them, and I also write books about bourbon. So I drink bourbon, I write about it, I talk about it. So all I do is drink bourbon and rum and talk about it for my living.
Where can people find you, real quick?
What's that?
Where can people find you on the web?
Just fredminnick.com. So MINNICK. Same with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just fredminnick.com.
Cool. So there you go. That's how you find them. Now, what are we gonna taste here?
So these are 3 bourbons that are actually going to be at Bourbon and Beyond. We got W.L. Weller, we got Maker's Mark Cask Strength, and then we have Evan Williams Single Barrel. All 3 of these are not that easy to find. We're actually tasting some pretty rare stuff with the Weller Special Reserve. This is when I used to have an age statement on there. It's 7 years old. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead. Are you a bourbon fan?
I am. What am I looking for, the difference between just your generic bourbon and what we got here?
The first step is to kind of see how it feels on your palate. So like a lot of things will taste like a burnt, kind of like a burnt corn. Some things will taste like battery acid on the palate. So you usually not bourbon, because the barrel filters out a lot of the bad stuff. So what you're looking for is to see how it feels. So what do you normally drink?
I am a cheap bourbon guy. I go with Jesse James Spirits. I really like his spice.
Jesse James Spirits, okay.
So not the upscale stuff, just the $17.99 a bottle. I'm a big beer guy. I work for a brewery, Rivertown, so I've really got into specializing beers. So teach me about whiskeys here.
So bourbon is a type of whiskey. To be bourbon, so whiskey is like a categorical term that just means distilled grain aged in wood, and bourbon is a type of whiskey that has to be predominantly corn, and it's going into a new charred oak barrel like every time. Okay. So it can never go into a used barrel. So that's the 2 most important things about bourbon that makes it bourbon: predominantly corn and new charred oak barrel. Also, it has to be made in the United States. So no one else outside the United States is allowed to make it.
So no Canadian bourbon?
There used to be, but there used to be, but not anymore. No Canadian bourbon, no Mexican bourbon. So it has to be made in the United States.
Okay, so tell me, what's the best way to taste?
So the first thing, my whole goal is to teach people to appreciate what they're drinking. So you really want to appreciate what people are drinking. And the first step for me is the color. When you look at the color, you're basically studying how it did in the barrel. So when it's in the barrel, it's working in and out of the wood, and it's giving it the kind of the wood color. It's absorbing, it's extracting color from the wood. The wood's also giving it the majority of its flavor and its aroma. So after we've looked at the color a little bit, we swirled around, push that aroma up there.
Just like beer?
Yeah, you want to smell it, but when you smell it with your mouth open, because it helps aerate it out a little bit.
Really get your nose in there.
Yeah. You want to pick, like here I'm picking up some caramel, some vanillas, some baking spices, some citrus. It's even got a little bit of floralness to it. Like a little bit of a rising, like cornbread too.
When we go into taste, do we leave it on the tongue?
Yeah, you want it on the tongue. You want to feel it on the tip of your tongue. Rotate all the way back, and that's basically you want to see where it hits the tongue. You should be feeling the sweetness on the tip, the salty stuff in the middle, and the spices toward the back.
All right. That is tasty. And that's the Weller?
That's the Weller right there. That's got some complexity for you. You want to finish mine too?
Yeah. See?
How are you?
Oh.
Next, we're going to Maker's Mark Cask Strength.
What's the difference between this and your normal Maker's Mark?
So what they do is they take Maker's Mark and they pull it straight from the barrel and they bottle it. So
all right.
This is basically uncut, unfiltered, so no water has hit it. This is the sweet-ass cask strength.
112 proof. Now, taste-wise, what am I expecting different between this and Maker's Mark?
Well, to me, this is a lot more pronounced. This has a lot more going on for it, and I think this is very vibrant, very beautiful, and it captures the barrel and the essence of Maker's Mark. I would like to see him release it a little older, but this is still very nice.
Right now, how long is it aged?
It's about 6-8 years old. I've been on them for about 10 years to release a 12-year-old bourbon.
Wow, that is tasty. I left that one right on my tongue. Yeah, you got to be careful because you got to keep doing this stop by stop. How many stops have you been on so far?
I think 6. But, the thing is, I drink for a living, so I know I'm very careful to pace myself. I don't want to, I never want to get intoxicated,
I really like the flavor of this Maker's Mark. It makes a huge difference. What's the price point difference between your normal Maker's Mark and this
so Maker's Mark's
cask?
coming in between like 25 and 30, and this is about, be about 35, 40 bucks.
Oh, definitely. If you're watching the video, I'm going to put, definitely pick this up. That flavor is amazing. Usually I'm just one to throw it back.
All right.
Really good stuff. Thank you very much.
You bet. Let's try the Evan Williams single barrel now. Now, Evan
It's going to be a hard one to beat the...
well, this is a different... Sorry about that. This is a little bit of a different style. These two had wheat, or they're wheated bourbons.
Okay.
And this one uses rye. This is also it's own single barrel. And this is you'll notice a huge difference in the flavor stuff. And this is really to point out that although they will all say bourbon, there's a lot of different flavor profiles going on.
This one smells a little lighter. It's delicious. And this is the Evan Williams. I like the rye in it. If you like rye beers, it'll be right up your alley. Now, when it comes to the festival, the Bourbon and Beyond Festival, what are you personally going to be doing that day?
I'm curating a bar, and I'm also kind of like their bourbon guy, so I'm doing a lot of educational stuff. I hope to do a tasting with some of the music talent, and so I'm basically going to be all over the place, but my focus is to educate people on bourbon.
Eddie Vedder's a specialist when it comes to drinking. He loves his wine, so maybe you can reach out.
Yeah.
He's an appreciation of the finer things in life.
And there's a similarity there. There's a lot of barrels involved.
Yeah.
So, I think you're right. I think Eddie Vedder would be a good candidate. Maybe maybe Kiefer Sutherland too. There's anyone who appreciates a good dram, either in wine or beer. My goal is to show you bourbon has that same kind of potential and flavor profiles as any other sophisticated drink.
Is there one particular bourbon you'd recommend for a starter, somebody who just enjoys the cheaper whiskeys that want to move up to something more tasty?
Yeah, so there's a couple that are really good. Regular Maker's Mark is a good bourbon. You can find it pretty accessible. And I think Evan Williams Black Label is a really good one. But if you have a little bit more disposable income, you can spend $30, I would say go after a brand called Henry McKenna 10-year-old. You can find a lot of flavor in there for the money.
Well, thanks for tasting some of these beers with me. Or beers. I got beer in the mind.
Well,
bourbon. Already drunk in the morning. Beautiful bourbon tasting happening here backstage Rock on the Range. If you want more, go to bourbonandbeyondfestival.com. Get those tickets. Eddie Vedder's going to be there. Thank you very much, Fred, for joining me and sharing